Welcome everyone to episode 10 of Blueprint. My name is Bobby Machado, CEO of Signal Marketing. If this is your first time watching the show, this is basically just a casual Q&A style show in which I answer any and all digital marketing questions in relation to how to market your business online. So if you're a small business owner or marketing manager, we hope that you find value in this show and follow along. With that being said, we do have our Digital Pulse newsletter that has launched last month. We're really excited about that because that's just going to help everyone stay up to speed with the latest pieces of content that we're sharing on our blog, and then also all the latest episodes from Blueprint and all that good stuff. But that being said, we'll go ahead and get started with the first question.
What are the most important factors for the homepage of a website?
You want at least 5 items above the fold, meaning that website visitor doesn't need to scroll to see these 5 items. First, you need a strong headline that's going to capture their attention. Usually that headline is not going to give all the full context, so that's why second is some subtext underneath it that's going to provide context and a little bit more oomph to your claim that you used in the headline. Next, you want some visual representation that communicates that headline or that subtitle in a sense too, because we're human and we like visual things. So whether it's a video even or just a visual that articulates that's great. Next is, of course, you want to be on brand and make sure that you're not using colors that are just completely off and not brand related. You should be very tight niched with your brand across all forms of marketing. And then lastly is a call to action and how to take action. You shouldn't be making anyone work to get in contact with you. So that's why having a form or even if you have a lot of stuff going on, you can have a call to action button that then opens up a pop-up with the form. You can find some creative ways of how to go about integrating all that, but at a minimum you want those 5 items on any homepage or even landing page for that matter.
Should I hire a web development company and an SEO agency separately?
That's a great question. I think it's something that's not being talked about, if anything, enough. And a lot of business owners don't even know that this is like a thing. But you can go on searchenginejournal.com or wherever, and you'll find countless articles and stories around how website teams, UI UX teams, and SEO teams really need to be working together. This whole thing that you have teams working completely separately, first off, it's just not even logical. It doesn't actually make complete sense because of this. What happens right now in the industry, a lot that happens is a business owner will go and get their website built. The only thing is that then when it's done and it's built and it's live, then they pass it over to an SEO agency, and then the SEO agency essentially starts to rip up everything that was built on the website, such as how the pages are structured, the copy and the content of the pages, you name it, even the imagery and stuff like that at times, because they're having to want to further optimize them and stuff like that. So a lot of things that just don't really need to happen if you just did it all at once. That being said, there's lots of website companies and SEO agencies and stuff like that work together, and they're completely separate companies, but they work together and stuff like that. So you as a organization or a business owner, if you can find not only just a website company that's going to build your website, but that they also have strategic partnerships with marketing agencies like an SEO agency and stuff like that, that's beautiful right there, if anything, because then you can really request that your website be built from the ground up with an on-site SEO strategy, because everyone's going to tap into that SEO strategy, whether it's the web development team or the content team that's writing all the copy for the site, and even the UI UX designers of the site and stuff like that too, because they're all going to be understanding of how each of these pages needs to be wired, what are the headings, how the pages should be structured to meet an on-site SEO side of things, those requirements and stuff. So that's not saying that, there's lots of companies that will do it all underneath one house like us. We build all our websites with the on-site as part of it, not just making it SEO friendly, but it's actually like you actually get a real strategy that's keyword researched and market-based and all that stuff like that. But I encourage any of you business owners that are looking to get a new site, if you're not going to go with an agency that does it all in one house, and you found a agency that does really beautiful design or awesome development, stuff like that, inquire with them to see if they have SEO strategic partners that they have worked with in the past, so that you can have those two teams work together and build one solution all at once instead of doing the whole Passover thing.
What is the best SEO off-page technique in 2020?
The best one, in my opinion, there's not one like top best one. You have to kind of do a few kind of all at once. Let's start with probably like the easier ones in terms of outreach. So at the end of the day, acquiring high quality backlinks is about having established connections with other people at other publications and stuff like that. So one idea is just finding, you have to use tools for this stuff, but finding publications out there that have a great piece of content, that within the content there's a broken link and it's creating a 404 error, which is essentially bad for their website. So if you identify those opportunities and you have a relevant piece of content that they can swap that 404 error link with the link that you're providing, that's great. You do have to do that at mass. It's very tough to do that manually. I don't think anyone's doing that manually these days. You can also find opportunities where the content that you're generating and knowing the content from other publications are really, really relevant and actually provide value to one another for the user. Those are great to establish those relationships, because when they're about to put out a piece of content that's relevant to a piece of content that you've been putting out or whatnot, that line of communication is already open, and you can find opportunities of how to link to one another, not because you're just wanting to swap links or anything like that, but it's because it actually genuinely provides a better user experience to the user themselves. So that's another common one. Thirdly is guest posting. That's still works great in terms of writing a high quality piece of content for a publication, in which since you're providing free content for them, that you're able to insert or integrate more so a link to the piece of to your website, to a relevant piece of content that's has the anchor text is relevant and rich and all that good stuff like that. So those are a few ways that you can do outreach in terms of offsite SEO, but that's definitely what's hot and probably what's working right now in 2020 in terms of actually doing real offsite SEO. This stuff is tough. It's not easy. That's why a lot of people don't like it, because it's not sexy. It's not tangible like on-site, but you have to do it because that's how you get rankings.
Does email marketing still work?
If it still works, yeah, you got to put it in perspective, but yes, it still works. You just have to find your angle of how you're going to utilize it. And I've said this before, I'll say it again, it comes down to your lists and the quality of those lists, of how they were actually acquired. If you have a customer list, the way you're going to speak to them is going to be entirely different to how you're going to speak to someone that just barely jumped on your newsletter. Those two personas deserve different content, and the language needs to be different. So it definitely still works, but you need to make sure that you're being strategic and well thought out. If you think that you're just going to create an email campaign and just send it to your whole list, you're going to be very disappointed with the results. So it's tough. You got to really think this stuff through and segment your list and your audiences, create relevant pieces of content. And then be smart of, like, even when you're sending out the campaigns, if you're sending out to B2B prospects, you know that most people are probably going to go to lunch at 12, between 12 and 1. So that's maybe a better time to send one out, or early in the morning, or later in the evening when they're kind of having a little bit slower time and stuff like that. So yeah, you just have to be strategic, but it still does work.
What is the best SEO off-page technique in 2020?
PPC traffic is always profitable if you know what you're doing, because it's literally a commodity. It's a faucet. You can turn it on or turn it off. The traffic's already there. If you want to get in front of people that are typing a certain keyword in Google, you can just go get the traffic. It's that simple. The tough part is converting that traffic, because anyone could just go flip on a campaign and acquire the traffic. What you do with that traffic, that's the tough part. That's where you see campaigns flop, or they're super successful and profitable. So PPC in general absolutely does work. You just really have to know what you're doing and what the goals are that you've set for paid. If you're running paid social, if you're running a paid ad on Facebook, people are there not for your ad. They're there for the cat memes and to see what their family's doing and stuff. So they're scrolling. So your ad and your offer has to be completely different and super eye-catching and create some urgency that they don't want to miss out on whatever you have to offer. That's completely different to running paid search campaigns and having a text ad in which someone's actively, they know they got a busted pipe, they need a plumber right now, they're just trying to find the right one at the right price. So at the end of the day, PPC does work. You just have to be super strategic and know what you're doing.
How much should a content writer know about SEO?
Content writers should at least know the importance of on-site SEO from a keyword standpoint and stuff like that too. I mean, making sure that you have the right amount of keyword density throughout a piece of content without keyword stuffing. You're basically all you're trying to do is just lift the confidence up from a search engine for the search engine to be confident that they know what the subject matter of this piece of content actually is. So that's good. Keyword stuffing, bad. So that's the difference there. But in terms of copywriting, teams understanding SEO, that's one critical one that if you're a copywriter, you should really be versed in understanding that, because then you could just include that on all your website copy, all your blog posts and stuff like that. Also, your headings and your headlines. Every copywriter knows that you need a high engaging headline, and using a question or using guide in there if it is a guide and stuff like that. Those are really impactful things. And search engines love those types of headlines, especially if you're putting out some comprehensive guide and you literally have in the title that blah 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 2020 guide. That's huge in terms of search engine knowing that it's probably going to be super valuable. And then over time, once it's ranking and there's more historical analytics, it'll prove that it is or it isn't, and then that's where you'll see your rankings fluctuate up or down at that point. But yeah, copywriters should definitely at least know those fundamentals of SEO so that you can knock that all out at once.
What are the advantages of using an agency to manage Google AdWord campaigns?
Agencies, because of the nature of the work, you see a ton of campaigns across the board from different industries, different market segments, geographic locations, all that stuff. So the amount of actual data that we're exposed to is tremendous. You get to learn real quick. So that's why if you're working on big campaigns, there's so much data that you can learn much faster than if you have a small campaign and you're just kind of letting things trickle. It's going to take forever to accumulate enough data to make a decision, and by that time your competitors probably already made decision. So it's kind of tough. So I'm a bigger fan of just more data the better, because then you can make quicker decisions of what's working and what's not. But that being said, yeah, if you hire an agency, that's the benefit, that they live, eat, breathe this stuff, and so they'll understand how to take your situation, your specific situation, and mold it to fit, or mold the campaigns to fit your situation best. If you're doing it on your own, you can, that's great. You just have to know that you're limited to your data and your campaign and your business and your industry, and that's that. And agencies, yeah, we get to learn what works from various other industries and see how we can sometimes apply them to others. All right, so that's it for episode 10. I really appreciate your questions. These are always just questions that we curate and bring together, whether they're from social media or from clients or prospects, you name it. Anything that we feel that is a common question that we know that you can actually benefit from and stuff like that, those are the ones we choose and we share. So that being said, absolutely submit your questions on any of our social media channels. So that's whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, even here on YouTube and stuff like that. Anywhere under Signa Marketing, you'll find us. So submit your questions as comments and use the hashtag Blueprint Show, or you can even send us a direct message, such as through Instagram. But other than that, I'm excited to see you guys on episode 11, and I look forward to answering your questions next time.